Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of Stat Me Up for Anfield Index. Now, normally on these things, we talk about the team and we maybe touch on players a little bit, but not too much. But let's be deadly honest, I can't put an EPV on this or give it a direct rating, but no one gave too much of a shit about the performance yesterday. It was more about individuals, wasn't it? Results didn't matter. And now I'm about to turn to him. He's probably thinking this wasn't in the script and he might have to adjust his abacus. But we have got to talk players because it didn't really matter too much last night, did it?
No, it didn't. I mean, I watched it this morning and I watched it just back before the show because obviously, to be frank with you, as soon as I saw he wasn't taking the first teamers, I said to everyone, I ain't watching that live because, why am I staying up till 2 a.m. to watch the kids play? And no offense to the kids, but I'm just not doing that when I go to work the next day. So, yeah, on the rerun, I saw the score when I woke up and I thought, all right, fair enough. That was a wise decision, But, it's how many changes? I can't remember top of my head. It must have been from Saturday. We changed the keeper. We changed nearly all the back four, apart from the left back. Midfield was completely different. Up front, Cody might have been one of the ones who kept his place or whatever else. So you effectively got two players from the game of the weekend. So it shows you how much we rotated, which is a huge positive, by the way.
Yeah.
Huge positive, because as we'll come on to the end of the show, that weekend's game is where, by those guys resting, they've all got match day +4, which means they're fully rested for the next game, which we hardly ever have match day +4 anymore for our players. All right, so that's a really important stat to think about, so that's a really good planning from Slot. But yeah, the rest of it, we can go for a little bit, but
yeah. We'll touch on the story of the game, shall we say, and we'll do a little skimming on the first half. You probably guessed I'm not going to drill down Bart's on field tilt and things like that in this game, but just if you think there's any worthy call outs or anything that's there, Bart, feel free to shout them out.
I think to give you an indication of, you probably first see a score anything on my day sort of thing, but they only had 4 shots on target. This is the scale of the game, right? They had 4 shots on target, scored 3. So that's not actually great from us defensively, but shows you where we were. In terms of what we did with the ball, we did okay, but we had a penalty which takes up quite a lot of the XG we created. So we created 1.6 total, or 0.79 that would be a penalty. So we didn't actually create that much, if you like. So yeah, again, you can break it down in halves. There's clear periods where we were on top, clear periods they were on top. It was a bit topsy-turvy in that, with field tilt going between 70-30, but flopping every 15 minutes, which probably gives you an indication of no real control in the game. Second half, I think, is probably the only period where you can see that we consistently were on top for a couple of periods in a row, which, again, watching the game, you could see that that second half was dull, but we weren't letting anything. We weren't really creating anything either, to be fair. And then, the MCs, the only thing I'll say to that, yes, the MC will have us down as a 2-1 win, but a lot of that is down to the XG, and that includes a penalty. So if you took that out, it would probably be the other way around. But yeah, that's sort of your top line stuff. The biggest thing we were talking about before it is that it doesn't, if you look at our pass map, it just doesn't look like a Liverpool performance. There's the midfield we used to see in a strong triangle in the middle here, and then our advanced wingers, well, they're not. We're playing in a 3x3, 9 squares, and our 2, our 9 and our right winger are not connected. So yeah, it's in second half it didn't really get any better, to be fair. The midfield was a little bit stronger. Some of that could be done. Endo drops into centre half, doesn't he, at one point, and they bring on Morton to play with Mcconell, so that was slightly better, but you still didn't really get. Chiesa switched over to the left rather than the right, and he got a bit more connected, but there was the right space here, right half space, and obviously a lot of dominance. It just isn't there. If we go to passing, this is symptom of a game where we weren't playing well. We just, there's no real usage of the areas where we normally dominate, apart from the last 15-minute period where you could say we started to, even that's 4 passes. So, yeah, it was a kind of a distinctly, I'd love to say, oh yeah, it's a Liverpool. It was still a Liverpool performance, but it just wasn't. The threat is not in areas we normally associate. It's a bit deep. We're normally really high. If we look at our defensive metrics, where we're doing actions, there's no real pattern to it. It's again very deep second half in terms of defensive actions, and what we do with the ball, off ball, again, not really a pattern. So yeah, it's probably right, to be honest with you, to say, I mean, and this is it. So half time's here on 45. Well, that is a flat line of XG post 45, which gives you a massive indication of what the game was like. Second half, both teams, it almost was like, yeah, all right, do you want to call that there? Should we call that 3-2 and just play out 45 and nothing? You know, when you look at a flat line of XG, that's almost what it is. So then we just dig down to the players. And I know we said beforehand, so where were the positives? Because we've got to try and get something like that, right? So he gave the kids a lot of game time, which is great, amazing. Apart from one lad at the end who got himself sent off in record time for a kids challenge. But let's look at some of the others. So Connor, an outing for him, starting the Champions League. Last time out, he was played well against Real Madrid, I think it was, or maybe one of us. But he's generally done all right in Europe this year. So here, played full game, 4% of our EPV, which is lower, gives you another indication it wasn't really a Liverpool performance, because typically our fullbacks are between 15 and 20% of our threat production. Well, Connor here was at 4. Costas took his game up to that level, 30, but our right side was very low for our right side. And his passing rate is 73, which, is not in keeping with the rest of the back four, to be fair. If we look at our midfield setup, so Harvey, given the start, he's craved for that really. 15% of our threat was created through him, which is okay, right? It's not horrible, but 77% pass rate, a little bit low for him, even if he is taking risks. His 15 final third passes, that's good. It's really good. But I was just trying to look for his penalty box touches, if I can find them. So penalty box touches, only 5, considering he's playing sort of that 8, which 8-10, you'd expect maybe a bit more from when he's very comfortable in that area. So, Conor Bradley had 6, for example, and he played right back. So it gives you an indication of maybe Harvey could have done a bit better there. Jaws-wise, this is a problem with Harvey's profile, and please don't take that as me knocking him, right? But if you're going to play in our midfield 3, you are going to have to do a bit of off-ball work. Dom, as we know, is an absolute monster in this department. So for Harvey to have a dual rate of 33%, he's not great, and he's not going to compete with any aerials because of his height, so that doesn't register. You got Mcconell in there at 60, which slot references he had a good game. Mcconell had 1 penalty box. So Mcconell, considering he mainly played a bit more in the 2, should we say, than higher up, played okay. But none of the midfield really got high dual weight. Even Endo at 38% is a bit low for him. 40% aerials, so not great. We look at Mcconell's on ball, 85% pass rate. That's good. Kids kept it ticking over. What type of passes was he doing? So we didn't create that many chances. There's never going to be a lot of key passes. Long passes 4, so he's not afraid to switch play. That's good. Final third 7, progressives 2. So that's from where he was playing. That's not a bad an amount, and he got 8.5% of threat, which that's second most in the midfield setup. So that's quite good for him, really. I would say. So Mcconell, I could see why Slot singled him out as being being a good performance from him. Chiesa was the other lad when first time he completed 90 minutes. So what did he do? 5% of threat, 90% receiving success. So he didn't get the ball when he received it. He received 6 progressive passes, which is good. 68% pass success, which is fine. He's playing further up, so he's taking a few risks. But one of the key things people liked about him, he had 2 shots. He does seem to shoot a lot, or he's very direct in what he does. If we look at who he was passing to, does he come up on here? No, it doesn't register enough passes to connect on there. If we look at what did he do off the ball, 50% duel rate, great. That's good for a forward. You know, considering that's not just a one-off. He competed in 15 duels, Chiesa, and won 8 of them. So his off-ball work there was quite good. His penalty box touches, he had 7. That's the highest in the front 3, 27 in the final third. So Chiesa could probably be fairly, I would say, happy with the performance, apart from not getting it on the score sheet. We look at some of the areas of operation. So Mcconell here is this lighter blue. Apologies for those who have struggle with colour, but he's got the largest of the midfield areas. Elliott's asked to cover a fairly large area, but some of that's moving around. And Dan's asked to cover a huge area, 6-9 boxes there. Cody doing the shift on the left as usual, bigger than his normal amount. But Chiesa are kind of very focused, should we say, being kind. Robbo and Jarrell kind of taken the usual centre-half spots. Endo's, because he morphed into going to the back, he's a little bit off towards the left. But yeah, it's an interesting performance with some highlights from some of the players, should we say. I mean, I picked out Mcconell here because Slot mentioned it, above the average for his position in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the 7 metrics.
Wow.
The only metric he wasn't above was shots. So if you're going to try and take a positive out of it, I think Mcconell did a pretty good job of trying to show who he was. And Chiesa here, although he's probably bang on average for 4 of the 7, he's a well above average for shots and duels 1 for his percent of his area. So again, I think you're right. Chiesa and Mcconell both did shine in an otherwise meh, but one of their memes that you normally is on the other pods. But one of those games, it just we got the job done. I would love to ask Slot why he used both our first team left backs in the same game. That would be a question. I really do. I appreciate there might have been a last minute dropout due to illness, but it did seem odd to me that when you're trying to save energy for the first team, that you burn left back minutes in the same game. But that all aside, Mcconell and Chiesa are probably the positives to that performance, I would say.
Yeah. And you're right, it bears out because he had the shot. I mean, it's a great volley that gets parried and Harvey Elliott tucks in the rebound. As you talk about his jaw, I mean, that's insane. The one thing we're seeing about Chiesa from these limited minutes, he presses like a demon, and obviously look at the penalty at the same time. That's all his work. So it is great to see that does translate. And yeah, like you, I think there's a lot of people thinking, okay, when Nunes is out, why didn't you just do what you did in the Carabao and move Endo into centre-back and Morton into, too experienced, rather than playing Andy Robbo, who, fair play to Robbo, he tries his best, has not had the best of seasons, and now to put him in at centre-back, it's just, I'm not saying he'll regret it, because he probably won't regret anything much, but I think it's fair to say, Bart, if he looks at that, thinks, maybe he just laughs about it, who knows, but it is what it is a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think Robbo was due to start, I have to say. I think he probably was, because Costas played the weekend, right? Am I imagining that? I think Costas, I can't remember. Anyway, no, Robbo played the weekend.
Way around.
Yeah, the way around, yeah. So I suppose it would have been, right, who does he want to play against Bournemouth? And that would be the one that shouldn't have played last night. I mean, as much as I think Costas probably is the main man, I'm not sure Slot is entirely set on either one, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, Robbo, he did take one for the team, let's be honest here, because One of Robbo's biggest problems this season, because of his lack of pace, or he's lost a bit of his physicality, should we say, he's still quick, is he drops off a bit. When you're playing centre half and you do that, you play everybody on side. And he kept doing that. You could see him. There's been centre half and leading the line and stepping up, but he didn't do the step up part. He just played them all on. And but in the day, he did a job for the side. To be honest with you, 2 of the goals we conceded came down the right side from we lost the ball up high. Yeah. They broke through, so we didn't deal with it in midfield. And then Bradley definitely gets beaten on one of them. Another one, I think 2 or 3 players should have done better, including Bradley. And then, to be frank, I don't know what Kev's doing, but he should have said to 2 of them, the near post one where it just goes straight through him. I've got no idea what he's trying to do there. And the other one where it flicks in the far corner, bang on half time. Again, I don't know. I think this is one of the worst games I've seen Kev have for about a season and a half. So yeah.
Well, do you know what? If he is going to reserve his worst game for a season and a half, at least he probably, in the scheme of things, picked the best game to do it. But there we go, ladies and gents. Not a Liverpool performance. A lot of things that you can't overanalyze, but importantly, some real praise for Chiesa there in terms of shots, the duels, the pressing, and Mcconell for a young kid rightly singled out by Arne Slot. A lot to like. And you mentioned the golden word here, Bart. Bournemouth. Now, this is the big game coming up this weekend. And we don't overhype this too much, but we look at their players, we look at where they are in the league. So we'll do the normal. We'll talk you through Understat as well. Bournemouth are in good form. I mean, they just absolutely battered third place Nottingham Forest, didn't they? 5-0 in this one at home. They are a good side. There's no 2 ways about it. Talent-wise as well, Justin Kluivert seems to just score hat-tricks at the moment. That seems to be his new MO for a way of doing things. And a player that we've looked at before on Transfer Market Metrics, Semenyo, seems in great form. And Andy Robbo, Trent, because he can play on both sides, I do switch him over, are going to have to be in top form to tackle these. I mean, Bart, I'm going to be intrigued by Understat because they're an interesting side, as in decent scoring, 41, but just over 1 a game. And it's quite interesting when I hear people talk about Bournemouth. A lot goes on, sort of Zabiani, and don't worry, I won't ask you to pronounce that, and Huysen at the back as well, the 2 centre halves as well. So I am intrigued to see what's like Understat, how do they profile the normal things that we do.
So Bournemouth, you're right. I mean, you and I have said, everyone's been muttering about this game for a while. This is a big game. This is a big game. I also, to Bournemouth battered Forest, right? They had something like 5 players out as well. Like they had some serious players out injured, and they still, they absolutely battered them. And as we said though, we probably should have got the result against Forest. It's just their keeper had a blinder on the day, so it is what it is. But yeah, Bournemouth, good form. Before I go into Understat, I do think so. Bournemouth press really high, really aggressive, and then they try and get at you really quickly and score. Right. I do think if we match them physically, we will be. I think our quality will then show, because I think if you're asking a team to outpress Liverpool, even slots slightly leveled down, you've got to go some, because we are supreme at that, and we also have quite a lot of press resistant players. So I think, there's some things, but if we're not up to it physically, it could be a difficult game. But what does Understat say? So 23 games gone. They've got. I'm just trying to find the points. So they're 40 points, haven't they? Understat's got them. I should have got 43. So they're in and around where they should be. Okay. They have scored 41. They should have scored 49.
Wow.
So they're actually running cold up front to the tune of 8 goals. That's a little bit of a worry. Goals against, though, they've conceded 26. Understats got them. They should have conceded 32. Wow. So again, they're running hot and cold at both ends of the pitch, which was pretty much what we said about Brentford, right?
Yeah.
But in a lesser degree. So it's an interesting one. It says it can go one or two ways. I'm hoping they don't regress the balance on the scoring for a start against us, but equally they're 6 under in terms of defensively. So that's something to be looking at. A non-penalty XG creation, they're at 43. So what Understat are saying is they should have had more penalties, is what they're saying from that. If you look at just that home record, because we are playing at home, they're sixth best in the league. They're actually, so their scoring performance at home is actually worse against their XG than it is away. So they've scored 17 goals at home. Understat has they should have scored 24, right? They've only conceded 7 at home. They should have conceded 12.
Wow.
So away, they're pretty much bang on where they should be, right? It's at home where they're underperforming up front and they're overperforming at the back.
Yeah. Okay,
so that's quite interesting. You don't normally get to see that distinct difference between home and away performance in terms of XG anyway. Like teams play different ways, but you don't see it to the tune of. I mean, that's almost a 10-goal swing either like between the two sets there. That's quite a big chunk of change, you know. If we look at our old favourites, so what are they doing? If we look at shooting, so if it loads up, shots, here we go, against. So the last few games, so how many shots are they conceding? So they drew against Chelsea away, conceded 26 shots.
Wow.
Right, 10 of those are on target. I mean, there's your Dane, but they only conceded 2. So that's some of that regression away from that. But then you go to the next couple of games where they've gone to Newcastle, battered them 4-1, and then beaten Forest 5-0. So that's 9 goals against 2 of the most informed teams in the Premier League.
Yeah.
And 1, right? So they only conceded 13 shots and 18 shots respectively, and only 4 of those in both games were on target. So they went from having let's be frank, that's a poor performance at Chelsea and they got a draw, to then completely shutting it down and having a really good performance against Newcastle and Forest. The thing is, though, those two sides are probably well set up for Bournemouth's attack style.
Yeah.
So that would give them plenty of opportunity to do what Bournemouth want to do to you, to then go and create, and therefore they would stop you from going and having a shot. If we look at some of the other blips, so when they played United, they conceded 23 shots, and 7 of those were on target, and they got beat. Is that right? No, they lost. So yeah, it's interesting what they do against you. What do they do? What are they looking to do? So again, that poor performance for Chelsea, they then reversed it and went up to nearly 20 shots a game and 10 of those on target for the next 2. Yeah. So they have regret, and that's not far off where they're in and around the 20 mark for shots a game, and they either do about 8 or 10 shots of those are on target. So that's a good metric for them. Just looking at expected, so they're generally creating 1.5 to 2 a game.
Yeah.
And they're conceding. I mean, take Chelsea out of it. I mean, that's 1.8, 0.7, 1.4. So yeah, in the last 6 games, it's either 1 or below 1 XG a game. Yeah. So they do have a style. They're strong in what they do. They have a set way of playing. They can do it seemingly with missing first teamers and having some squad players in there. They've got players at the front are in form, and the guys at the back are overperforming their XG, as we said. So, yeah, this is going to be a big performance for us. We're just going to look at the aerial win rate. Aerials are not particularly strong in the air.
No.
But that's not generally how they play, should we say? So yeah, it will be. I think this is one of those tests, isn't it? It's I think Arsenal play City. Am I correct in that?
Yeah.
Weekend. So it's one of those games where if you want to put a marker down, this is it. This is an informed team in the Premier League. Yeah. They are doing things to teams that you just wouldn't expect. Like if you said to me who Bournemouth going to beat, I wouldn't have put Newcastle. I wouldn't have said they're going to beat Newcastle and Forest back to back. I just wouldn't have said that. So they've done that. It's just, as I said, if we can match them physically and with the intensity, it's at their place. It's one of the old style grounds, isn't it? So everyone's on top of you. Everyone's tight. Klopp used to have a set midfield for that game as well. He always used to go with high pressing team. He'd have high energy in the middle of the park. He played a box midfield a couple of times with Ginny, Hendo, Fab, and Naby all in the same midfield, and then he had runners with the two. So and that worked really effectively because it smothered them. I know it's a different manager now, but you control the centre of the pitch. So I can imagine we will go there with our most athletic midfield three. Who've had a week off. So providing they've been training and keeping things top and over, they should be in pristine form. If Konate and Van Dijk keep the form from the last couple of games, if anyone's seen the Thomas Frank interview doing the rounds on the socials where he spoke about Van Dijk and Konate being at a level he'd never seen before in a centre-back partnership against them, that gives us a very strong bedrock. It's then what front three plays for the day, and can we take the chances that we're going to get? I'm not sure we're going to be hitting the numbers again like we did against Brentford in terms of number of shots. But you'd hope that if we got 20 shots off Bournemouth, you'd hope we better convert a couple. And then barring left back, the whole of the back four has been rested. Ali's been rested. So, I would be really disappointed if we didn't start this game well. They've had a week's recuperation, training, getting ready for this game. The following midweek, is it Everton? I can't remember now.
Carabao semi-final on next Thursday.
This is basically, you could put everything into this game because although no one wants to, you don't want to go out of the Carabao Cup. I get that.
Yeah, true.
You win this game. This is massive. This is 9 points clear, whatever it is. And then you've got, you put massive pressure on Arsenal to go and get a result against City. City are still not playing well, but I was talking to Darth about City are one of the few teams that actually could beat Arsenal or the vice versa. To beat City, you need to run at them, right? You need to run at them fast and run through midfield. Arsenal don't do that. That's not the way they play football. So there's half a chance the City could get a result against Arsenal, which you wouldn't expect, right? So we really do have to go there, get a result, and do what we need to do. Question in the chat. So him back and fit, he's absolutely phenomenal. And also, to be fair to you, since United, Trent's been world class.
Yeah,
Trent's been absolutely sensational on and off the ball. Yeah. I mean, it went a bit quiet. The last game, people don't like talking about it because certain people who work for Sky Sports would have to admit they're wrong. But defensively, he was outstanding at the last game. Like he came back, nicked plays, kept it shut down, and he still contributed going forward. So for me, it's those three of the back four playing really, really well at the moment. And then you just toss a coin to find out which left back's going to turn up and play, how they're going to play. So, and that might sound a bit harsh, but Costa's had some good games. He's had some iffy games. Robbo's had a lot of poor games, and he's had some steady Eddie sixes. If Robbo gets to the 6 on a Saturday, that's fine. We can get over the line. But it's going to be a big game. Big game.
Saturday, 3:00, which we haven't said too often this season. We will find out what happens, ladies and gents. Yeah, it feels like a massive game. So there we go. Eindhoven, I'll use Bart's words, the technical scientific term that helped him earn his doctorate. Meh. That's what we're filing it under. We'll go Mcconell and Chiesa, very much things to like there, and Arne Slot called them out quite rightly. But now it's all about Bournemouth and what beckons on Saturday. So what it leaves me to say as ever is, Bart, for the time, the insight and the analysis, it is much appreciated, pal.
No worries, anytime.
And ladies and gents, that was another Stat Me Up for Anfield Index.